Hello everyone! Have you ever wondered if our world is actually unfolding according to a script, one written centuries ago? And what if we've either skipped over or completely forgotten the most crucial pages of that very script? Everyone knows Nostradamus and Vanga, but today we're diving into the world of other, often forgotten prophets. Their words, penned at different times and from various corners of the globe, surprisingly describe our 21st century with uncanny accuracy. And yes, they do predict an end, but perhaps not the one you're imagining. So, what exactly are these predictions? Historians dismiss them as mere coincidences, while skeptics write them off as pure fabrication. Yet, certain details are compelling enough to make even the most hardened pragmatists pause and consider. Humanity has always lived with a deep-seated fear of the apocalypse. Every generation has seen signs of impending doom in wars, epidemics, and natural disasters. But what if, for the very first time in history, we are witnessing several vastly different ancient prophecies begin to unfold simultaneously? Let's dive in and explore what these predictions are and whether we should really be taking them seriously. So let's kick things off with one of the strangest and perhaps most specific prophecies in the history of the Catholic Church, the prophecy of Saint Malachy. Imagine this: 12th century, Ireland. An archbishop named Malachy journeys to Rome, and there, legend has it, he receives a vision. He sees a long succession of all future popes, right up to the very last one. Stunned by what he's witnessed, he records it as a list of 112 short, incredibly cryptic Latin phrases. Each phrase is a kind of nickname or a hint at the destiny of one of the pontiffs. To be fair, many historians consider this text an elaborate forgery, created much later, in the 16th century. But here's what's truly intriguing. Even if it is a forgery, its author proved astonishingly prescient. For example, Pope John Paul II is described by the phrase, "from the labour of the sun," de labore solis. And what do you think? He was born on the day of a solar eclipse and buried on the day of a solar eclipse. His successor, Benedict XVI, is named the Glory of the Olive, Gloria Olivae. The symbol of the Benedictine order, after which he took his name, is precisely the olive branch. Too many coincidences, don't you think? But the most chilling part awaits us at the very end. The list concludes. Pope Benedict was the 111th on this list. And under number 112, there's not just a phrase but an entire paragraph. It speaks of the final pope, Peter the Roman, Petrus Romanus. And during his reign, I quote, "the seven-hilled city will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge his people." The end. And here's the burning question. Is the current Pope Francis that very Peter? After all, his birth name is Jorge, not Peter, but his father's name was Pietro, which in Italian means Peter. And he's the first pope from the New World, lands where masses of Italians, that is Romans, emigrated. Details that certainly make you wonder. Now let's fast forward from medieval Europe to early 20th century America. Here lived a man known as the Sleeping Prophet, Edgar Cayce. He was neither a saint nor a scientist, but a simple photographer from Kentucky, blessed with an extraordinary gift. Cayce could lie down, close his eyes, and in a trance-like state, provide answers to any question. He offered medical diagnoses, predicted stock market trends, and even peered into the future of nations. Among his thousands of readings, as they came to be known, some are particularly unsettling. Cayce frequently spoke of a coming Earth pole shift. He claimed that the early 21st century would usher in such profound geological shifts that the world map would be irrevocably altered. According to his predictions, parts of Japan would submerge, Northern Europe would be transformed in the blink of an eye, and in America, the Great Lakes could merge with the Gulf of Mexico. Sounds like a script straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster, doesn't it? But here's the catch. The very same man accurately predicted the start and end of both world wars with astounding precision. He foresaw the 1929 stock market crash, spoke of India's independence long before it became a reality, and even described the invention of lasers. All of this compels us to take his warnings about impending cataclysms a little more seriously. Perhaps his visions weren't mere fantasies, but a genuine warning that our planet faces profound challenges ahead. And finally, let's delve even deeper into the past. To ancient Rome. Ancient Rome was home to a collection of sacred texts revered above all others, the Sibylline Books. Legend has it they were brought to the last king of Rome by a mysterious prophetess, the Sibyl. She offered to sell 9 books for an exorbitant price. The king scoffed at her. She then burned 3 books, offering the remaining 6 for the same price. The king refused again. She burned 3 more. Terrified, the king then bought the final 3 books for the original price of 9. These books were kept in the Temple of Jupiter and consulted during Rome's direst times. Sadly, the originals were lost in a fire in the 1st century BC. However, later versions survived, having been copied and expanded upon over centuries by various authors, including Jewish and Christian writers. And it's in these later texts that we find some astonishing lines. They speak of the final 9th age of the world. This will be an age of fire and iron, when signs in the sky will control humanity, and the earth will tremble with wickedness, and the sea rise to the very stars. At first glance, these are very vague and poetic images, but let's try to look at them through the lens of our own time. Fire and iron. Doesn't that sound like a description of the age of industrialization and wars? Signs in the sky. Aren't these the satellites that provide us with GPS and the internet, literally controlling our lives? And the earth trembling with wickedness and the rising sea. Aren't these direct references to modern environmental problems, global warming and melting glaciers? These ancient words written in a vastly different world suddenly take on a chillingly modern resonance. But here's the real kicker. On their own, these prophecies might just seem like curious historical artifacts. Malachy's prophecy speaks of a crisis of faith and power. Edgar Cayce's about geological instability and natural disasters. The Sibylline oracles. They talk about technological dominance and social upheaval. Individually, they're just chilling tales. But what if we look at them together? What emerges is an astonishing picture. These forgotten prophets, separated by centuries and continents, seem to be describing 3 different facets of the very same global process. They're not predicting an asteroid will hit Earth one day. They're talking about a different kind of end of the world. The end of the world as we know it. They foresee the demise of old ideologies, the collapse of climate stability, and the crumbling of old social structures. And most strikingly, all these processes are unfolding before our very eyes right now, in the 21st century. It's less a prediction of the future and more a diagnosis of the present, delivered centuries ago. So should we panic and build a bunker? Probably not. Perhaps the main message of these prophecies isn't to scare us, but to warn us. They speak not of an ending, but of a great transformation, a time when the old world crumbles so that a new one can be born from its ruins. Whether it will be good or bad no longer depends on the prophets, but on us. Thanks for watching this video all the way to the end. If you found this interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new historical mysteries. Now for a question for you. Do you believe in such prophecies, or do you consider them just a series of coincidences? Or perhaps you know of other forgotten predictions worth discussing? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Until next time.